J Drone here. What's going on, guys? Got my favorite drone out, the Aosenma. We do have a AIO all-in-one camera. I have it positioned a little bit differently, just because I know where the satellite. This is for the satellite here. Here's the sensor for the satellite. So if I put it here, it might be getting blocked. And I think actually underneath, with it flying upwards, that might be the best position for it. So we got that right there. We do have a battery on the back here, and I'm gonna be OTGing it. Cell phone in there. I'm gonna fly FPV. We'll see what we can get. I don't know that I have super full batteries in this, but we're gonna take it for a little run, see what happens. If you guys notice, my front blades are a little bit chewed up. That's not from crashing, that's just from showing people what will happen sometimes if you don't calibrate this. If you don't calibrate it, a lot of times it wants to do a front flip or a back flip. You need to calibrate this before flight. You also need to be checking your motor screw mounts, which are in those plastic things, before flight. And then just make sure you do your calibration properly. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take off here. Just so you guys can see, that was the reason I had breakup, that I have breakup through the video that you'll see. I'm using a JST and a lossy connection, and it wasn't making a complete connection, so every once in a while you'll notice just a quick blackout, and then it'll go back on. Okay, blades are fired. We are going to take off. Left switch is on 2, right switch is on 2. You want left switch on 2 or 1, right switch on 1 when you take off, otherwise this will happen. And again, that breakup is because of the JST connection and the lossy connection. It faced me and it was about ready to do an orbit. I believe that's what I had it on, and just to get out of that, all you have to do is put your right switch up on the first stage, and then you will get out of that, and you'll just be in GPS mode if your left switch is on 2. If it's on 1, you're kind of in a manual mode. If you notice the yellow letterings and numbers up top, just because of my loose connection, that's going to kind of stay there the entire flight. Generally, that would go away. And we did end up putting our camera on top, as you can see, and that's just where it is right now. And we got pretty good reception. We've got pretty good reception all the way out here. And I never hit the LVC as far as the controller goes. So I could have kept going further, but the sun's down, and when you start getting a little bit of static, and not the blackout static because of the loose connection, but once we get out over this field, over the dark green and into the next light green, you'll start to see a little bit of static, and with low light it's hard to navigate through it. I absolutely could have navigated through it, but we decided not to. This is the first time I've done this with the Aosenma. I've flown this Aosenma probably more than I've flown any other drone in my inventory. The spark's getting there. The spark's getting close to my flights on the Aosenma, just because I take that with me absolutely everywhere. But this drone can hang, man. I've had this for a long time. Aosenma had a bad rap because people don't know how to do preventative maintenance on these, don't know how to do pre-flight checks, don't know how to check solder points, don't know how to make sure this drone is ready to go. And this drone is ready to go. As you can see, we're going out here, man. And I believe I'll have in the title exactly how far we went. But as you can see, it's starting to get a little bit of fuzz, and with the low light, it offers a little bit of difficulty flying through. Now, if the sun was anywhere from 11 to 2 o'clock, we'd be going. I keep pushing it until my controller beeped, that didn't happen. Now, that's a little bit scary all the way out here, but again, that was my poor judgment shoving the wrong connections together just because I had the battery ready to go. As you can see, as we're flying this way, pitch down a little bit more, we have a little bit better image quality, and we're turning around. I believe that little mound that we stopped at is right around 1.2 kilometers, and that's stock. There's nothing modified on this drone besides FPV visibility, the AIO AKK 200 milliwatt camera. That way I can fly this FPV. That way I can know where it is and not do this blindly. I don't like shooting my drones off blindly and hoping they come back. I don't mind shooting them out on a range run and pushing the limits like that, because if they don't come back, if the GPS fails, I can navigate back. I have FPV and I can navigate back manually. Even on the Spark, I had it over an area I was getting heavy interference, and all my satellites disappeared. It said that I was in manual mode, essentially, and I had to figure out how to get back, and I knew how to get back. It wasn't a deal, but you need to be prepared. If you're going to take something that you actually like and you want to get back, you need to be prepared to fly it back if worst case scenario happens. And again, the blackouts is not the camera. It is J-Drone's poor selection of connecting two plugs that weren't meant to be connected together. But as you can see, it definitely works. I should have made sure it was a little bit more snug. I should have actually got the right connection, the right battery with the lossy connection versus the JST connection. But it works, man. It absolutely works. You work with what you got, and I mean, yeah, sure, I had the battery, but I had this one good to go, and I kind of wanted to go out before the sun completely dropped. So this was a success, man. I do believe I'm going to push this further. I do believe we are going to get I'm gonna get completely fresh batteries, like brand new batteries. I have Energizers in here that aren't too old in the controller, but we're gonna get brand spanking new batteries. We're gonna make sure our battery's completely charged up. We're not gonna let it sit. We're not gonna let it just idle, because I turned all this on, I got it ready to go, and then I decided to switch my connection from the AIO from underneath on top, because the app, despite the fact I had my phone, no auto rotation on the screen, the app kept rotating it, and there was no way to shut it off, so I had to put it up on top. So literally, I left my drone on that road there, and I ran back home, grabbed the sticky, and then remounted it. So that you can't take this as a flight time test. You will be able to see that we got about close to 10-minute flight time on this, despite everything I'm telling you, despite the drone literally sitting in a field for about 2 to 3 minutes for me to run back home and then run back and then mount and whatnot. So ideally, these get about 15-minute flight time if you maintain the batteries. If you have a battery that you haven't maintained, you're probably going to see about 10-minute flight time. If you're like me, where you've really maintained the batteries, but you've really used the batteries, you're probably going to be down to a 13-minute flight time, just the nature of the beast, nature of LiPo. Now, I'm going to try to fly close to myself here, being as cautious as possible, because this drone will cut you. Just kind of show you what I'm working with here. You can see the bright white controller of the Aosenma, and you can kind of see the goggles that I have on. They're the DR1 goggles from AirHog. We have a cell phone inside of there. We have the OTG receiver on the outside of it, and that's what's picking up this AKK AIO. And again, the link for the AKK AIO will be down below. If I could find a decent link for an Aosenma, maybe I'll throw that down there for you guys as well. It's my favorite drone. It is not a user-friendly drone. I'm going to tell you that right now. Just what I reiterated earlier, you have to check your motor mounts. You have to check your screws. You have to hand check your motors. There's a lot involved with this drone. It's not a super complicated controller, but there's a lot of toggles that you got to learn what does what. It's definitely a homework drone. If you take this drone out and you've done no homework on it, there's a very good possibility it's your first and last time you're taking it out. That's the case all too often. And if there's an Aosenma group that I run on Facebook, I don't own it, but I help run it. There's an Aosenma group on there, and about, I'm going to say, probably 40% of the people in the group had issues right out of the box because they didn't know what to do. But then there's a vast 60% that is knowledgeable, that know what to do, that have fun, that absolutely love this drone. And the reason we love this drone is because it was before the MGX Bugs drones. It was before the whole hype of the MGX brushless Bugs drones. This is a brushless drone. This offers what the Bugs 3 offers. This offers what the Bugs 2 offers. This offers the versatility that those drones have in one package, as well as follow me, as well as fixed point circling, as well as return home, dual GPS. Your controller has GPS. The drone has GPS. So when it does follow me, it's actually following the controller. When it's returning home, ideally it should return to the spot, but because you have dual GPS, it should actually be able to find its way back to you. Myself, I've never really tested the return home, just because, again, I don't like return home. I don't like computer override. I like to be able to take care of things. I like to be able to fly the drone. I know my brother has. My brother's killed a couple of these drones flying them recklessly, and he's taken them out where I said I don't like to fly blind. He's taken them out flying blind, waiting for the chirping, waiting for the beeping, and have the drone come back, and it came back every time. So it definitely works. This is definitely an advanced drone. It's an older drone. They did come out with ones with optical flow underneath it, which I don't quite understand why they had that. A full GPS drone, a dual GPS drone, why does it need optical flow? This drone sits nice. If you let this drone start up the way you should, gather satellites, let your controller gather satellites, this drone will sit nice in 20-mile-an-hour wind. I got videos on it, guys. Type in J-Drone on YouTube and type in Aosenma, Aosenma. I believe that's how you spell it. And dude, I have videos on it. I'm not telling fishing stories. I absolutely love this drone. Guys, if you haven't subscribed, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button. Again, the breakup was not because of the camera. The breakup was because of my poor connection. If you have any questions, comments, concerns down below, definitely get at me. And if you're going to fly safe. If you have this drone, definitely do a pre-flight check later.